Ahead of the general elections in India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited the western state of Rajasthan and Gujarat. In Rajasthan, Prime Minister Modi inspects the tri-service exercise, Bharat Shakti, at the Pokhran testing range. Delegates from 40 countries are accompanying Prime Minister Modi at the defence exercise. Earlier today, Prime Minister Modi visited the Mahatma Gandhi Ashram in Sabarmati in Ahmedabad. He inaugurated the Kochrab Ashram and launched the master plan of Gandhi Ashram Memorial. The Prime Minister is on a 12-state visit ahead of the 2024 general elections. Hindu refugees from Pakistan celebrated the Indian government's implementation of the Citizenship Amendment Act in Delhi's Majnu Ka Tila area. Implementation of the Act comes days ahead of the enforcement of the Model Code of Conduct for the 2024 general elections. The CAA was an integral part of the Bharatiya Janata Party's manifesto for the 2019 general elections. The Parliament had passed it on 11th of December 2019 after the Narendra Modi government won a second term. The US and British warplanes carried out fresh airstrikes in small towns of Yemen, hitting port cities and small towns, killing at least 11 people and injuring 14 others. The strikes follow the first civilian fatalities and vessel loss since the Houthis began attacking commercial ships in November. The airstrikes also coincide with the first day of the holy month of Ramadan. Meanwhile, the Houthis targeted what they described as a US ship, Pinocchio, in the Red Sea with missiles. The US Central Command confirmed the attack in a post shared on CENTCOM's social media account of X. Meanwhile, Houthis' military spokesperson said that the group will escalate its military operations even in the holy month of Ramadan. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Jamaica to attend a Caribbean community meeting on Haiti, where a collapse in security and a surge in gun violence continue. Blinken will discuss the long-awaited deployment of a multinational security mission to restore order in Haiti, which is said to be led by Kenya. According to the United Nations, thousands have been displaced and killed in the overall conflict in the Caribbean nation, with widespread reports of rape and torture. Haiti entered a state of emergency on March 3rd after gang leader and former police officer Jimmy Cherizier, alias Barbecue, called for criminal groups to unite and overthrow Haiti's Prime Minister Ariel Henry. US President Joe Biden said that he has not scheduled a meeting with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Biden also said he does not have any plan at this moment to address the Israeli parliament. Nearly 31,000 Palestinians have been killed in the Gaza Strip in the last 5 months due to Israel's armed offensive that began after the Hamas militants attacked Israel on October 7th. Killing 1,200 people and seizing 253 as hostages. This is according to Israeli tallies. According to Hamas's health ministry, though, 72% of those killed were women and children. Notably, Hamas hasn't broken down the death toll between civilians and Hamas militants. US President Joe Biden has said that there is no need for additional American troops at the Polish border. Biden remarks come a day before he meets Poland's President Duda and Prime Minister Donald Tusk. Now, Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022 has made defense a top priority for the NATO members in Eastern Europe, and Warsaw is spending around 4% of GDP on boosting its armed forces this year. President Duda said that NATO's response to Moscow following the outbreak of war in Ukraine must be clear and bold. Duda and the Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk will visit the White House to mark the 25th anniversary of Poland joining NATO. The driver and a suspected gunman have been taken into custody in the shooting of 8 high school students at a bus stop in Philadelphia. Police continue to look for 2 juveniles who were also seen jumping out of the car last week and running towards the bus stop with the 18-year-old suspected shooter. The shooting last Wednesday was the 4th in as many days on the public transit system in Philadelphia. UN Special Representative on Sexual Violence and Conflict informed the UN Security Council that there are reasonable grounds to believe that conflict-related sexual violence, including rape and gang rape, occurred on October 7th. UN staff official on sexual violence and conflict also said that her team found clear and convincing information that sexual violence have also been committed against hostages. Israel's Foreign Minister, Katz, reiterated calls for the release of hostages as he accused the sexual crimes committed by Hamas worse than the terror actions carried out by Al-Qaeda, ISIS and other terror organizations. Meanwhile, Israeli Defense Forces conduct airstrikes near Lebanon's northeastern city of Baalbek that left at least 6 people injured. According to the state media, one of the strikes hit a building in the village of Ansar in the south of Baalbek city. Lebanese militant group Hezbollah said at least 2 airstrikes took place on the Lebanese soil, one striking a building on the outskirts of the village of Taraya and another near Baalbek on the outskirts of Ansar. The Israeli army and the militias of Hezbollah have been fighting since the beginning of the Israel-Hamas war, in the aftermath of the October 7th attacks. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that according to the military intelligence, Moscow's military plans involve not just Ukraine, but are also against other nations. In his address, Zelensky said that Russian President Vladimir Putin will intensify the mobilization after the elections. He further said that the Ukrainian forces are stabilizing the situation on the front lines, despite the limited military supplies from the Western nations. The South Korean Foreign Ministry has confirmed the arrest of a citizen in Russia. It added that its consulate is providing assistance for his return. The Russian state media reported that Baik Monsoon was transferred from Vladivostok to Moscow. He is accused of transferring classified information to foreign intelligence agencies. The South Korean media claims the arrested citizen is a missionary who supported North Korean laborers in Russia's Far East. The South Korean Health and Welfare Minister met trainee doctors on Monday and promised better communication with them. Second Vice Health Minister Park Sin-soo said the Health Minister Cho Yung-hong met the trainee doctors in a closed meeting. Park asked medical professors help convince the trainee doctors to return to hospitals. Park also expressed concern over medical professors submitting resignations at the Seoul National. if the government fails to resolve the prolonged walkout by the trainee doctors. In Pakistan, meanwhile, a 19-member cabinet led by Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has been sworn in. Oath of office was administered by President Asif Ali Zardari at the President's house in the capital of Islamabad. In the newly elected Sharif government, Mohammad Ishaq Dar has assumed the office of Foreign Ministry, while Khwaja Mohammad Asif has been allotted the Defence Ministry. Azam Nazir Tarar has been the Minister of Law and Justice and Human Rights in the Sharif government. This time, Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has picked Mohammad Aurangzeb to be Pakistan's Finance Minister. Aurangzeb is the CEO of Pakistan's largest bank, HBL, with a vast experience in private banking, but has never held the public office. Meanwhile, violence in the capital of Port-au-Prince has flared up once again. Heavily armed men attacked the National Palace and set part of the Interior Ministry on fire with petrol bombs. Gang leaders are causing havoc in the region as they are determined to oust the Prime Minister Ariel Henry. In the latest, the gang leader Jimmy Shirizia, alias Barbecue, prevented hotel owners from hiding politicians. Meanwhile, Haitian Prime Minister Ariel Henry has tendered his resignation as head of the Caribbean nation. Since February 29, gunmen have burned down police stations, closed the main international airports and raided the country's two biggest prisons, releasing more than 4,000 inmates. Scores of people have been killed and over 15,000 people have been rendered homeless. Argentina's federal security forces will be deployed in Santa Fe province to combat drug crimes, following an upsurge in violent incident in recent days that has seen 4 people killed. Security Minister Patricia Bullrich and Santa Fe Governor Maximiliano Pularo announced details of the deployment of troops. Rosario is one of the world's largest agro-exporting centers and registered one of the highest homicide rates in last year, as criminal gang fight for control for the territory for drug trafficking. In a significant boost to India's artificial intelligence ecosystem, Indian Union Minister of State for IT and Electronics, Rajiv Chandrasekhar, has announced the establishment of 10 AI labs in 10 colleges in Thiruvananthapuram, the capital city of Kerala. Now, the AI colleges will be set up under the recently announced India AI mission. While speaking at a conference, Chandrasekhar said the labs will be operated with the technical help of a global AI giant. The identity of the global AI giant is yet to be announced. Updates now from the world of business. The yen drifted higher against the US dollar for a 4th straight season, bolstered by an upward revision to Japan's growth figures and expectations the Bank of Japan could exit negative rates at its policy meeting next week. A growing number of Bank of Japan policymakers are warming to the idea of ending negative rates at their March 18 and 19th meeting. At the same time, an upward revision to Japan's economic growth last quarter meant the country avoided technical recession, adding to the argument the economy could weather tighter policy. Oil prices were little changed in early deals as concerns eased that fighting in the Middle East would disrupt supply, and Chinese data suggested weak demand, while an increase in US refining limited any selling. Both benchmarks ended last week lower after bearish Chinese data implied weaker demand in the world's leading crude importer. Now, China's crude oil imports rose in the first 2 months of the year, compared with the same period of 2023, but were weaker than the preceding months. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.